Welcome everybody to the Melbourne Business Network webinar, Designing Your Website to Convert Visitors to Buyers and Doing It Quickly. I'm Anita Botel, your host today, and just a shout out to our team that are joining us today, specifically our President, Wendy Dawson. Thank you for joining us, Wendy. Now, before we get started, as we're still gathering in person, I'd like to officially recognise the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Now, the Melbourne Business Network is a membership-based organisation operating since 1994. We network and facilitate connections, communications and collaboration with businesses that contribute to the economic development of the municipality of Melbourne, which covers a 15 postcode area. And we reward best practice through the annual B3000 Awards program. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping before we get going today. We are recording this session, so please mute your mics if you haven't done so already. We've set aside time for questions at the end of the webinar, so pop your questions into the chat box as we go. And I'd encourage you also to post your LinkedIn URL into the chat box so you can connect with others on the webinar today. Now, today we're going to learn from Melbourne Business Network brand partner WebOracle how to create a great online user experience by using web design to convert our website visitors to customers and how to do this quickly. I'd like to introduce you to Michael Tricholta, the founder and managing director of WebOracle, an Australian-owned and operated business that's specifically set up to fill a gap in the marketplace by providing Australian small businesses IT and online solutions. Michael, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Anita, and welcome everybody to today's webinar on designing your website to convert visitors to buyers quickly. Now, I'm going to take you through the agenda here we go, webinar agenda on what we're going to discuss today. So we're going to go through Australia's current digital landscape through what's been happening through the COVID crisis over the last 6 or 7 months or so. Expected digital changes in the landscape moving forward from there. What is good web design and how it can help you. Hospitality example we're going to be using today is a company called Anateca Soleno, who have been a client of ours for a number of years and are pretty much a gold star in terms of taking advice through this space and improving their digital footprint throughout Australia. And then finally, what we'll do is I'll take some questions and provide some answers to any questions that you may have. So there isn't much time I could talk about this forever. So what we'll do is we'll jump straight into it and I'll run you through all the bits and pieces that I have. Okay, so Australia's current digital landscape, historical perception of a website's always been, well, it's something that kind of sits in the background and you know, I need to have one or maybe I don't need to have one. And the reason a lot of people generally don't have one is because they've enjoyed a lot of foot traffic or they've historically sort of met with their clients face to face. So websites never been at the forefront of their business tools. Websites often considered an expense, not an investment. Now the reason that is because people haven't really sort of pivoted in a way that helps them to sort of understand what a website can do for their business and how it can reach other potential markets through some good design, some good marketing and some good tools on the website that really funnel down into a conversion and a call to action. Significantly less foot traffic is currently the environment at the moment, especially in Melbourne. Even parts of Sydney at the moment are not enjoying the foot traffic that they historically had. So this is the current landscape that we're looking at. Many websites are currently not match fit. Now, what I mean by that, they've kind of outdated or they've been sitting there for quite some time. The user experience is poor. The SEO, which is your search engine optimization, your marketing component, it's not on point. Social engagement is probably small or non-existent. So these are touch points that are currently being massaged at the moment by a lot of businesses throughout this COVID crisis to try and generate some more interest in their business product and services. All right, many businesses are in the process of pivoting at the moment and are looking at ways that they can use their website as a business tool. And as a result of that, a lot of Zoom calls are currently taking place. And that's generally the landscape of the current environment right across the country. It's not just in Melbourne. But there is good news. There are some expected changes that good businesses, smart businesses are taking advantage of at the moment. One good positive thing about Australia is that we have the largest adopters of technology in the world per capita. So there's something to look forward to. If you can put something together and design a platform that is engaging, that's easy to navigate, you're going to get some response from your local market. Australians are very good at adopting technology and they love it. They can't get enough of it. There has been a 25% upsurge in online sales inquiries right across the board, whether it's a service-based industry or whether it's a high street type of product such as retail. The upsurge has been dramatic during COVID and it's continuing through to the next 3 to 4 years is the expected upsurge there. So there's opportunity to be had if you can seize that. Focus is going to be heavily on building your database and connecting with your audience. Companies are going to need to create obviously some data to drive traffic through their website and improve their database attrition rate. So they need to be on point in terms of making sure that they're gathering information, providing educational pieces, whether you're a restaurant or whether you're a service-based type of business, you will need to build that database. Excuse me. So businesses must learn to use their website as a major business tool to survive during COVID. Now, moving forward, businesses are definitely going to be looking at more creative ways to attract business. B2Cs, B2Bs are certainly looking at ways at the moment to try and attract their specific audience and build that database and keep in contact with them on a regular basis. All this is good and well, but at the end of the day, like any other business, there needs to be a marketing element through various channels in order to attract that business. So it's always worthwhile building a website and designing a product that is really specific to your particular audience. So what I'm going to do is run you through an example of an existing client that we have had close to 15 years or so, and what we did to help them improve their digital footprint. We're going to have a look at where they were and what the brief was, their problems, etc., that they came to us with. And then how we basically took all that information to understand what their position was in that market space and looked at their competitors to come up with a solution that was basically designed specifically for their needs that helped them achieve their goals moving forward. So basically what we're going to look at is their previous website. So in 2013, they originally came to us, 2007 I think it was, they originally came to us with this brief, and this was the response to a brief that they provided us. So as you can see, the design of this website, when it was launched, I think it was around 2007 or 2008, was on point at around that time. But also in and around that time, 2008, 2009, we had iOS, which is Apple types of devices, which provided rich content for people to be able to engage in, and our data usage went up, etc. We went from dial-up into fibre. which meant we needed quicker response times, but also we needed to be able to provide more engaging content through these devices. Now, Google had a big, significant role to play in determining how websites were indexed, and one of the elements that they looked at was making sure that every website design needed to be mobile friendly. Now, this, whilst it was a great example of a good website pre-mobile friendly times, it certainly didn't sort of stack up moving forward into the digital era of screen-based applications. So in 2013, Google literally just changed the landscape. All websites being developed were requested to make sure that they were user-friendly. Otherwise, their algorithms would not index them. So how did we do that? We needed to come up with a design that started with mobile-friendly design. So that meant basically creating great imagery, content, custom illustrations, and using all of this in a way that attracted the client and helped them to navigate through to a call to action where they either purchased or made a phone call directly relating to a service that they're particularly interested in. So this here demonstrates what I guess Google algorithms would look like, and how that translated into mobile. And as you can see here, the old site, if you were to look at it today, you could barely navigate through the main menu. Now, if I can ask you all, if you have a moment, or if you have your phone next to you, is to open up enerteca.com.au, and that'll open it up to my next slide, which I'll take you through. But this visual shows you how a website should not respond on a mobile device, and it really impeded on your ability to index correctly. So design was at the forefront of every web application that was built moving forward from literally 2008. So Enerteca came to us in 2017 and said, look, we really need to change all of this around. It needs to be more responsive, but we need to be able to show off our products and services right across the board to be able to engage our clients. But we also wanted to reach out further, not just in Victoria, where historically they enjoyed great foot traffic. They've got a great product. They enjoyed people coming through, people calling up for their product, but not as much as they could have through digital means. So basically what I'm going to do now is take you through their existing website that we've now completed, and just take you through what the elements are in terms of what, the important elements on the website are that create such a great user experience. You have to keep in mind, whenever building or designing a website, there are three elements to a really well-designed website. There is the front end, which is obviously the part that your clients will look at, and that in there needs to have some engaging content, imagery, but ultimately a great call to action where they do contact you or purchase one of your products. Now, there's a lot of websites out there at the moment that don't meet that requirement, but more and more people throughout this COVID lockdown, even as I said, right across Australia, is certainly pivoting to make it a bit more of a pleasant experience. And given that there's a 25% upsurge in purchases and people's activity online, it's even more so important than ever to make sure that your website certainly has all the elements to make it a great and pleasurable experience for your visitors. All right, so I'll take you through to the Enerteca Soleno website. And as you can see here, it's a completely different animal. It really is on point, and it really drives the message of who they are. Their branding is perfectly positioned. They've got a rotating banner that really shows off some great imagery, which is really engaging. One of the important parts in any website is great imagery. If you were to strip back the imagery, all you'd really have is just basic content. Now, if you have a look at this particular layout, realistically, there's only two things going on: imagery and the content right across the top that literally leads you down to everything that you want. So on a good website, a well-designed...
Michael,
yes?
we can't see the screens you're talking about. We just have the example text screen.
Sorry, let me just... Right, can you see this?
Yes, yes, we can.
All right, so now you can see that, that's moving around?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Okay, so let me just take it back a little step. So the imagery, this is the new website that we've built. So what this is now doing, so I'm not sure if you can all have a look at your mobile versions of this as well, which will give you a really good indication of what I meant by mobile first and mobile friendly web design. If you have a look through it, there's a hierarchy of various images that leads straight down to the least relevant part of the website, which is obviously the footer component. But on a desktop, or everything that you see here on this desktop is anything that you want to be able to access right across the website should be accessible from this home page. No matter how complex that website can be or is, it needs to have no more than 2 to 3 clicks from any one piece of information or product. So this is a really good example of a company working well with an agency to get an outcome that works well for their clients. And it really works on the whole premise that they really want to build a database here. So it makes sure that, you know, they capture lots of information. There is a pop-up box that generally pops up around here that allows you to join up and be part of their database. So database building is important for Enertech as Soleno. Their percentage of visitors and conversions has increased in excess of 600%. So without going into their figures, that'll give you a little bit of an idea of what a website can do. So they've really focused, given that there's no traffic and a lot of businesses, especially hospitality, have been shut. This is a great example of how you can pivot and turn your business into your website into a great online business tools. Now they've increased dramatically interstate. Even though wholesale at the moment is probably not as active as it could be, what they have done is turn that around and turned it into a B2C type of platform. So as you can see, illustration is incredibly important. You know, lots of white space that really divides the products and breaks them down into into their various categories. So if I was to click on rice, for example, just talking to the point of no more than 2 clicks away, I've got all the rice that they have here, and it's just such an easy experience. And down here along the side, there are additional categories that I might be interested in. So if I was to click on, let's say, add that to the cart, it really breaks down effectively what the product is. There's an explanation about it. I can add as many as I want to the cart. And then I can add 3 packets directly to the cart, or I can show the cart and check out, at which point whether I'm a visitor or a returning customer. And if I am a visitor, here's an opportunity for me to build, as the owner of the website, my database even further. So what we've essentially done here is built them a platform that really builds their database in a way that is growing, and it's grown extensively over the last probably 12 months by about, I think, close to 900% in that period in terms of what they previously had. So good web design, what is it? It's obviously not just pretty pictures. It needs to have a call to action. So wherever you go on a website, you need to be able to direct your visitors to a place where they can purchase or engage your product or your service quickly. But more importantly, they need to find that information. So it needs to have all the attributes that A, they're looking for, and B, that is in line with your business model. It never needs, you can't ever neglect a website. Websites are such a great business tool and a good opportunity to be able to showcase your services in a way that you probably wouldn't be able to do in a high street situation or in an office. So having a hierarchy of information in a web design is really important. So making sure that you're working with a good, there's lots of great web development and design agencies out there that can certainly map out exactly what you're looking to do and create a beautiful hierarchy of what your services should be, how you should represent your services in a really chronological way that is easy to digest for your visitors. So having said that, all of their, excuse me, all of their social attributes down here are all there. They're obviously working really well to repurpose a lot of their blogs that they currently have up here, which is also part of great web design. And they repurpose a lot of it directly into their social handles down here. So remember, when you are building a website or designing a good website, a lot of information and a lot of product and services that you might be adding to the whole process is repurposed on a regular basis, and a great way to do that is through all of these touch points. It doesn't have to be difficult, as long as you've got a good plan, a good strategy, and you've got a good team around you that can really put together a good plan to deliver a great experience for all of your users. That's the critical component in a great web design. So having said that, I'm ready to take some questions if that's okay. Anita?
Anita, you're on mute.
Thanks very much.
Are you more than welcome?
Fantastic content there, Michael. Thank you for sharing the case study. That's actually it puts things into a greater perspective, I think, for everybody. We've got one question that's in the chat box here at the moment from Nikki, asking, sites other than just shops, do you expect many more visitors than account signups?
Sorry, that question again, Anita, you just broke up.
Sorry, sites other than just shops, do you expect many more visitors than account signups?
Account signups, I'm assuming that signups. So visitors, yes, look, people will certainly still be searching online, whether you're a service-based industry or whether you're a shop online. The difference between, I guess, a shop is shops are generally more a luxury item, whereas a service is more essential. People still are looking online, and that certainly has increased over the last 6 months. Again, services are critical, and given the fact that we can't sort of be face to face, people still are searching for services online. So yes.
Okay. Michael, look, this whole discussion around web design, it's obviously, I think, a lot bigger than a lot of us think about. You've got the front end, which you're talking about today, which is your design and your user experience, but it's heavily connected into the back end, where you've got your components and your functionality that give you, maybe your e-commerce engine and other things, and also the marketing, which is the communications to your audience or your target market. For anybody that's on the call today, if they're looking at doing something like this, do all of these things need to be done at once, or could they be done in a staged kind of process or project?
That's a good question, Anita. So look, user experience and web design go hand in hand. The first port of call is obviously identifying the functionality of your website and understanding what you're trying to achieve. So getting an on-point design that's basically one element of the entire process. So the back end is equally as important in terms of achieving your online goals. And I'll tell you why. Functionality is interlocked with design. Now, if you're not using the right components, you're not using the right checklist that Google provides you in order to get to where you need to go. There is a checklist that they do certainly stress on a regular basis. If these aren't sort of working hand in hand, you're not going to be able to really reach your audience because components might not be working. The website's probably not going to be indexed. There's a huge difference between something that's off the shelf without sort of going into various platforms that is just taken off the shelf and put together. There is so much happening in the back end where you need to create page titles, tags, making sure that you're connected to Google, that you have a Google My Business profile attached to your website. These are back-end elements that really need to be addressed. Now, if they're not done properly or basically added correctly, it's going to impede on the performance of your website. So you can have a great looking website, no issue whatsoever. But if that back end part is not working in line with that front end, you're not going to be indexed correctly. So even if you go down the path of marketing your website, that is certainly an important part to get right before you do that. Once you've got that structure in place, you can certainly apply the marketing component.
Okay. Michael, while I'm just asking this next question, I might just get you to take that presentation down so that we can engage with you a little bit more.
Sure.
Now, questions are coming thick and fast. I guess somebody here wants you to talk about the cost of web building, making constant adjustments, SEO, digital marketing services, etc. All of those things cost a lot.
Yeah, they do cost a lot. And look, you do get what you pay for with a website. My suggestion is always work with a reputable company. It's really difficult to have one person do everything for you and expect to have a platform that's going to hit all touch points. Most digital agencies have about 12 touch points before a site goes live. They work closely with the client to ensure that they are understanding of what they're trying to achieve. So there's a strategy and a plan that's put together before anything happens. Once that's been put together and understood, then an assessment of what technologies will be applied, because not all websites are built the same. There's always some sort of variable in a website that a client might need in terms of achieving their online goals. Once they've been identified, then a marketing strategy would be put in place based on their requirements. So there's no one shoe or one size that fits all. There's so many moving parts to the whole process. My suggestion is working out a strategy, a plan of what you're going to do, put that together. That will lead into all the other elements. And then if you're going down the pathway of marketing, you want to make sure that you are doing some competition analysis. You want to know where the product or the services are going to be marketed, and then analyze that information and data to come up with a strategic pin sharp strategy that's really going to penetrate the market space that you're looking to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to consider. What about people that have got different demographics that they're trying to cater for? How do they manage all of this when they've got, I guess you call them avatars these days. Avatars are, different elements or represent different demographics.
Well, yeah. So I guess, look, I'm expecting this is down a marketing channel. So if you're going down a marketing channel, there are lots of ways that you can do that. Given that you've got a design and a great user experience and all the back end elements in terms of a good platform that's ready to market, There are ways of doing that really cost effectively through good agencies that provide AdWord campaigns and social media campaigns that can really break down all that data to penetrate into a geo-sectioned off area through a good Google AdWords campaign. And that can be achieved right down to a specific type of demographic and completely geo-fenced off to be cost effective, but also work out what that cost per click is and what that cost per conversion is, because that's what an agency should look for to ensure a client is expectations are being met, and have a strategy in place to make sure that the spend that is being applied is yielding a result for that particular client.
Absolutely. And I guess this gets a nice segue to the next question, which is the $1 million question, how to drive new subscribers and to your website so that you can build your database.
And that is a good question. So basically isolating your market is working out where your market is, who your market is, and who you're trying to target. And coming up with a strategy to really market to that audience. Now, not all businesses need to be marketing on Facebook. Not all businesses need to be down the avenue of Google AdWords. So finding where your market space is with an agency is key to a successful campaign, and finding out who your market or your target market is.
Yeah. I just want to go back to Nikki's first question, because I just asked her to elaborate a little bit, and that was the one around account signups. So this is really around, I guess, building your database, but the privacy element of it. So, you know, people are agreeing to go to the to download some information, but, you know, what's the privacy or the legality around collecting that information?
Well, look, I always suggest educational pieces. If someone's doing some research, or your potential client's doing some research online, as long as they're providing you that information through an educational piece, for example. So if you wanted to learn how to, let's say, design a website, we provide educational pieces. We have an inventory of various ebooks that we do provide to our clients. Now, if someone was to go to our website and download an educational piece on a particular subject or topic matter, they are conceding pretty much to be providing their information under our terms and conditions, or anyone's terms and conditions. What they're not allowed to do is pass that information on to a third party. Okay.
But it's all right to collect that data and then market to those people?
It is absolutely okay to do that. That's in line with AUDA and best practices and the legislative privacy laws.
Okay. I've got a question from David around SEO. So if you're already ranking within the top 2 or 3 SERPs, I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure you'll know, Michael.
Yeah.
For your biggest keywords, what else can you do in terms of SEO to stay there?
Content, anything to do with content, rich content. Content's always been king, whether it's video, whether it's blogs, whether it's educational pieces. It's all about content. Writing content on a particular topic is always been king. The issue with that is that it's such a difficult thing to procure on a regular basis, where I think sometimes getting a content writer involved would certainly help that process. But working out what those keywords are, understanding what drives your traffic and what people are searching for online is your first port of call, and then coming up with content that is educational around those particular keywords that people are searching. You'll find that you'll certainly move up in the SERPs.
Okay. Somebody here that is obviously doing a little bit of work around this is asking what platforms you use.
It depends on what you're trying to achieve. We use all types of platforms. So historically, we we would look at what it is you're trying to do. Our background really is in building content management systems. So we don't have really a preference. We can work with any content management system. But platforms, I always strongly suggest working with WordPress. It is inexpensive way to get your business up and running. And it is an autonomous platform that you can move around from one provider to the next. And it has lots of great plugins that are supported globally, and there is lots of great opportunity with that platform to sort of, you know, move it around to what you feel is appropriate for you. So it's malleable, is what I'm trying to say.
Michael, a lot of people working around small business are on budgets or really trying to manage their budgets, and a lot of investment potentially could go into a project like this. So what happens after that in terms of managing it yourself? You've mentioned WordPress. Like, is that something that's easy enough to manage, or do we have to now engage, you know, back end or content writers to help continue with this project?
Look, you can manage it yourself, and there are lots of people that do manage it themselves. The benefit, I guess, of having an agency, or if you are capable enough and you have enough time, is there are things that need to be updated on a regular basis, especially if you're using an open source platform like WordPress, Joomla, some of the off-the-shelf systems, not so much, but these autonomous ones that you can move around require maintenance, updates on a regular basis. But my suggestion always is, you know, like in any business, always try and focus on what you're doing and get someone else to focus on the other element of your business, especially if it's a digital part of it, because a digital agency at the end of the day do have, you know, 12 touch points internally that make sure that your online platform is doing what it needs to, so you can then concentrate on what you need to do, and that's obviously work with your clients.
Yeah. Joomla, you mentioned Joomla. I haven't heard that term for a while. That's quite an old technology, isn't it? Or
it is a really old technology, and it's one that's sort of fading away. It's a little bit like the old Linux servers back in the day. The legacy developers used to use .NET, and Microsoft was at the forefront. Now Linux is 99% of the market share, which houses a lot of the open source platforms. So Joomla's gone down that path as well. They're less and less plugins, a little bit more cumbersome. Technology is still quite sharp, but you do need a skill set to be able to use it. So I guess from a small business perspective, it's probably not the ideal way you want to go.
You mentioned that dreaded word plugins, Michael. Talk to us about those.
Well, plugins, it's not a bad word. It's a really good word, and I'll tell you why. Plugins are great. They're a really good way that you can augment your website or provide it with additional technology whereby you don't have to invent it. So if the plugin hasn't been invented, which could improve your business, you'll then have to go out and build one with a developer. So you'll have to build it from scratch, at which time then it'll be customized and put directly into your website to perform a particular type of task. So plugins are a good thing.
Okay, I believe you. Look, I've got a question, well, a bit of a statement here, but I guess I can form it into a question. How long should this process take?
Any basic, look, 98% of web builds and designs should take no longer than 4 to 6 weeks. That's given that the turnaround times are all met within 48 hours. So the longest part usually is the imagery, depending on how meticulous you want to get and how detailed you want to get with your website and how on brand you want to be. There's a lot of ways to sort of put that together, but generally 4 to 6 weeks is the rule of thumb. Okay,
so we've had somebody here that's had their website built over an 11-month period. So
wow,
yeah, probably probably a conversation that you could potentially have following this webinar today. Just calling for any more questions, anybody that might have some. Michael, I really want to thank you on behalf of the Melbourne Business Network for the people that are on the webinar today. You were heavily involved in refreshing our brand for Melbourne Business Network and the B3000 branding, and you did a fantastic job again about doing all of that, and the process was really easy, great to work with you and Sarah and the team. You know, in terms of branding, is that like something that should be considered at the very front end of all of these other things that we're talking about here, or is that incorporated into that design and UX experience?
So most businesses generally have a corporate brand ready to go and a do's and don'ts folder about their particular brand. We're assuming that this is most web designs or refresh web builds come with some element of existing branding, at which time you could tweak it up a little bit and refresh it. Brands are always meant to be on point and on trend at any one time, as I'm sure you completely understand, and you've been through that process. So every so often the brand might just tweak, 2 to 3 years, just to be in line with what's going on, in the design world, but also more importantly, that engages with your client base. Colors are always changing, on a regular basis. Blacks and blues and blocked out colors at the moment are really, really on point in terms of a brand experience. So having that vibrant connection is really important. So a refresh is always a part of a good web strategy.
And how often should somebody be looking to do some sort of refresh on the branding side?
On a branding side, you should be looking to do a refresh every 3 to 4 years max. But generally, if you are redesigning your website and you're looking at elements and things are falling apart internally where things don't quite match and it's a little bit off message, you probably want to have a look at it all at the same time. Through many good agencies would look at all of your touch points and say, okay, well, let's have a look at your branding over here and say, we'll block that out, we'll work around that, and this is what your fonts are going to look like, and we'll refresh your brand by doing this, or your logo, and then we'll create a little bit of a booklet on how the do's and don'ts of your particular brand, and then go into the exploration component of the design. The brand refresh is certainly at the forefront before you sort of move forward with anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got the branding done, you've got your corporate messaging done, you've got all your content together, can you talk about a ballpoint figure in terms of investment, or is that difficult to pin down?
No, it's not difficult to pin down. Most people with a good agency, if you want your platform to work and operate, well, you do get what you pay for in this space. And a website is a business tool at the end of the day. And if you want it to work and operate well, it's not just about the design, it's about its functionality and its ability to connect correctly with Google. So there's a lot of touch points in there that need to be addressed. So you're looking at the back end meta tags and the title tags that connect with Google, making sure that your design's right, your brand refresh is right. So this does all take a little bit of time. When you put in 4 to 6 weeks worth of work, your starting point, a good starting point, is around that $5,000 to $8,000 for on point delivery.
Okay, I've just got a question here, and it kind of goes a little bit back to the branding again, but specifically about the actual logo. So refreshing your brand is one thing, but the actual logo or design of the logo that represents you or your business, how important is that?
It's critical. I mean, have a look at Coca-Cola, for example. Now, they had a simple brief to their designer, and it was when the can was designed, they wanted to be able to break that can down into a 1 square centimetre piece, and if it was to be lying in a corner somewhere, someone should be able to identify it. So their brand colour is basically their own design, and so is that particular silver. So brand is paramount in terms of product. So you need to be able to separate your brand from your product. So your logo is equally as important in that process. So yes, logo's an important part of the process.
Okay. Certainly Coca-Cola's been very successful around that, haven't they? I mean, it's,
Well,
it's one of those brands you just know without even looking at the Coca-Cola wording.
Mm.
A bit like Nike.
Nike first started off with the word Nike, then they moved to the Nike and then the tick, and then they just got rid of the word completely. So that's their logo, that tick. You know that's them.
How amazing that you can actually do that, move from that, you know, to something that's just recognisable worldwide. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, another question has come up. About understanding about their online presence.
Sorry, you just froze there just for a moment. Apologies.
Oh, did I? Sorry. How much do you believe the business owner needs to understand about their online presence?
I think education is really important. You don't necessarily need to go through the motions, but having a good top line understanding of what opportunities are out there is power to a business owner. So knowing and understanding what your potential for your business could be through your digital platform, I think is incredibly important. You don't necessarily need to do it all yourself. That'll give you the good groundwork to be able to go, okay, well, I now understand what I need to do. I know where my market is. All you need to do is find a good agency to work with to basically deliver on what you're looking to do.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Now, Michael, that's the end of the questions for today. I do want to mention to everybody that I know that WebOracle have got a startup suite that includes logo design for around $6K, as Sarah's kindly let us know about today. So I'll be in contact with everybody to connect you all. But before I do that, I know that you are looking at some ebooks now, which I think are going to be really interesting to everybody on the call today. Can you tell us a little bit about what those ebooks and what content they'll have?
Yes, absolutely. So the ebooks are educational pieces that really lay the foundation for some good groundwork before you start. They'll give you a good insight as to what good design should be for a website and all the elements that you should engage before you actually start and what those results should look like at the end. Then there's obviously web development, what that entails and how that connects to your web design. And finally, we've got a book on marketing as well that you can download and how that can convert obviously shoppers or visitors to buyers as well. So they're all engaged in one another, but they do give you a very good top line understanding of what you need to do and how you can do it to achieve the results that you're looking to achieve.
And will they all be available to our Melbourne Business Network community?
They most certainly will. They can. We can certainly provide them with all the information in the slide deck as well.
Fantastic. Michael, I appreciate your time today and your insights and for sharing the customer case study. That really does put things into perspective. We've had a huge range of questions. I'm going to try and copy those and send them through to you so that maybe we can get a bit of a Q&A fact sheet going. That would be something I think that would be cool to put on our website. So thank you again for your time.
You're welcome. You're more than welcome. So more than happy to take any questions offline as well. If anyone has any sort of concerns or worries, I'm more than happy to work through them.
Michael, thank you. And thank you to Sarah and the WebOracle team. Thank you everybody for joining us today. I will be in contact and I'll connect you with the team at WebOracle so you can ask further questions if you'd like to. There will be a copy of the presentation available. I know that everybody wants to get the content, and as the ebooks become available, you'll be the first to know as part of the Melbourne Business Network community. Now, if you're not already part of the community, please join us. I know Wendy's dropped the LinkedIn URL into our chat box there, so So please connect with us. We're an extension of the City of Melbourne. We're here to help you and support you as small business. So please connect with us. And if you're not a member, we doubly like to engage with you and get you to join our community. And I'll be in contact with some specials around that, and also some different packages and offers that WebOracle have available to the Melbourne Business Network community. So everybody, thank you again on behalf of WebOracle and the Melbourne Business Network. Thank you for your time today. Stay connected, stay healthy, and stay safe until next time. Bye for now.